Okay, so what were you telling me just now, Isaac, about Rick?
I overheard. Well, not so much overheard, but Grandma actually directly told me that. So she basically. So I don't know like the logistics behind it or whatever, but basically she said that Rick either had or was trying to have the thing taken off of his record where you guys went to jail because
Asia witnessed that.
Right. Well, the story, we all know the story, and he.
Well, do we all know the story? Because Rick goes around telling people a total opposite of the truth of what happened.
Well, according to not you, but my own sister, that told me the story. It's Rick came in and demanded that you go buy him weed, which I believe because there were times where I witnessed him demanding that you go get him weed.
And I did not have a bedroom door.
I remember that, so I believe that happened because that did used to happen all the time. And then you said no, or you were just sleeping, or something. You had just been woken up, something like that.
No, I was sleeping, so I was like but he was really rude to me, so that annoyed me. But
and Asia was in the room
I still didn't care. Like it didn't even like that. Yes, Asia was still here. Asia witnessed all. Asia was already awake. I was sleeping. She was awake in the living room.
Oh, okay.
I was sleeping in my room. Yes, and he was in this room where I am now at the time.
And then basically you guys started arguing or whatever. And
that's not. No, let me tell you, that's not even what happened.
Well, wait, let me tell it from my perspective, from what Asia told me. He said that you guys started arguing and that he lunged at you and that you grabbed like a knife or whatever, but you didn't point it at him, you weren't waving it, you weren't really going to, Asia said that you just like instinctively grabbed something because that was near, because you were next to
next to the dishwasher.
Next to the dishwasher, which is where we keep them.
Yeah.
You just grabbed something instinctively because he was lunging at you.
I knew that he was about to hit me.
He has a past of being violent to his own children.
This is when he was at his worst.
To you, to me. He has to his own parents. He has a violent past. And so, but nothing happened or whatever, and then you didn't.
Okay.
So I don't know what happened to the knife, but Asia said the next thing that she saw was that Rick pulled you down by your hair and slammed you on the ground. And
my head slammed into the ground,
and then held you on the ground or whatever.
And it was like beating me up and screaming at me. It was so scary. What happened before that is
and then he went, and then that's what, and then you guys both went to jail for it.
No. Asia picked up the phone and called 911 while I was held down, and that's when he got up and finally left, and then I grabbed the phone from Asia, which I never should have done, but I'm going to get into the argument more because it's way worse than you think it is. So I'm in sleeping, so Rick wants me to go get weed, so I'm like out of it and kind of annoyed that he's being rude, but at this point it's like, whatever, I'm used to this kind of shit, so that's not even... So then I'm like, Rick, okay, I'll go get the weed. Guess what? So this is before there was a weed store. I had a card. I had a medical card for weed. It was approved. I had to go to the doctor. I had a legal thing. This is how it worked back then. It was not recreational weed at the time. And... and we didn't have a store, so you have to remember, all of that's a factor. So he says, I'm still fine with it. I don't care. I don't even care. There's no vehicle. So I'm like, Rick, there's no vehicle. I can't go. You woke. So then I'm a little rude back, because he's been rude to me. And I'm like, Rick, there's no vehicle. You want me to go? And then he's like, yeah. And guess what? It's raining. He's like, walk in the rain. I'm like, you want me to go walk and go get... For what? To go get money out of the ATM with no vehicle for what reason? He's like, yes! I'm like, Rick, it's raining out. Look, I'm literally showing him. And his eyes, like, glaze over in the weirdest way, and he's, like, so... No, this was a scary thing for me to watch. He was... I don't care. Do you know when people... I don't care if anybody hears this. This is the truth. That's just what I've been saying since day one.
No, I just don't want anyone being like, what are you talking about?
I don't care. I'm in my bedroom. If they shouldn't be listening in, shame on them. Anyway, so he's literally like, you go to the store. So I'm explaining to him that even if I walked in the rain and got the money, there's no vehicle for me to go get weed. How do I take money with no car? Do I get on a stick and walk? He was so mentally ill, he couldn't comprehend that there's no vehicle. He could not comprehend. There was no way for me to go do it in that moment. And he wanted it right now. Right now. So it was like I was dealing with somebody who was logically not...
But that's all what I was talking about. That's what he was having, or trying to have.
Well, that's what I've seen. This dude's not going to calm down. He's not even comprehending logic. There's that it's raining.
I don't even know if that's a thing. It's just what Grandma told me. She might have just
Asia, you weren't here for that part. Asia's seen all of this part. Asia's seen all this part. So
Yeah, I was there.
Asia was in the living room already awake. Asia unfortunately witnessed all this, which is what pisses me off about all this. And why all of this, about the way the police officer handled it, is very wrong.
I believe the story because details of the story match up with what I've seen in the past.
I documented it back then. It's documented somewhere.
Me and Asia, we don't lie to each other. That's just not a thing. Me and my sister do not lie to each other. Like, Grandma,
when she picked me up, she was Asia was so upset, and she brought me my makeup bag. She knew my tweezers. She knew I was going to be upset. Grandma was laughing in the moment. I was so, and someone had just, because I was on the street, had to use somebody's cell phone. Thank God somebody let me use it. They were literally laughing, but I don't blame them, because what would you do if some lady standing outside a jail cell needs to use their phone to call her parents to come pick her up from the jail? I would laugh too. So I wasn't even like, I got it. Like, I didn't care, but Grandma came, and then Grandma was sitting there laughing. And I was like, yeah, this is my whole life story. You think it's funny that I was just attacked, and I had to go to jail along with my abuser for attacking me. You think this is funny. It's not funny. In the moment, I just remember being, and Asia was upset, because Asia did witness it. Grandma didn't witness it, though. That's true. So
I remember Asia being upset about it. Yeah, that's... Sorry we had to bring all that back up, but that's...
Well, anyway.
That's...
And so you were saying, so he had that...
I don't know if he had it.
Or he was working on it. Grandma told you.
Grandma told me that Rick was either having... or going to have, or trying to have, whatever, that expunged from his record, or had it expunged from his record or something. But yeah, I don't know. She says there's a lot of things that she tells me, that I overhear, that I see her typing on her phone.
You need to tell me.
She doesn't realize that that I witnessed her doing, like,
okay.
She doesn't realize that I see her, like, manipulating situations and, like, lying, like texting her sister lies about you and me, and then, and dramatizing situations, or just trying to make herself out to be, like, a victim when she sometimes isn't even, like, involved in certain situations.
Well, you were telling me she writes really big, so you're seeing the text on her phone, and you told her, Grandma,
so
I can see what you're saying.
I'm not really, like, trying, I'm not like, over her shoulder, like, what is she doing? Like, I'm not invading her privacy, but when her phone, when the words on her phone are, like, that big, because she enlarges the text so she can see it, and then I see my name, like, multiple times, I'm kind of like, and she's, like, texting all hyphy and stuff, I'm like, what are you kind of, what's up?
Yeah.
It's so,
that's natural.
And so I, like, kind of maybe, like, you know, low-key peeked a little, and she was full on texting her sister lies about you and me, and because I don't even remember what happened, because there's so much fucking shit happening.
I've listened in on these conversations.
My brain's melting at this
point. I stood outside the door and listened, and I was just in awe at my mom's ability.
But she also did this. I remember, like, just, it was like maybe a few months ago, she was lying about me to Jackie, her friend Jackie, and, like, dramatizing another situation, trying to make herself out to look like this victim. When, I mean, like, I'm not saying, like, she's not a victim. I don't think she's a victim. We haven't personally done anything to her that I would consider victimhood. Like, I'm not trying to, like, invalidate her, but what I will say is, like, the things that she shares with her sister and her friend that I've noticed are sometimes not true, mostly not true. and I remember I kind of called her out on it, and I was like, Grandma, you know that's, like, lying and manipulating, which is something that you're constantly preaching about, lying and manipulating, but then I'm constantly catching you lying and manipulating. Lying and when, like, when arguments happen inside, she will lie and manipulate to make it seem like she didn't do anything wrong. Or, like, me and her sometimes will argue in the house and no one else will be in the room, and then Grandpa will come in the room and she will literally lie or manipulate to try to make me out to look so crazy, like she wasn't being totally inappropriate. Like, this woman's known for doing and saying things that are completely inappropriate, but it's for some reason unbelievable to them that while they were not in the room and they did not witness it, there's no way that she could be inappropriate towards me when she has a history of doing things like going through other people's stuff without asking, to the point where she is getting rid of and or burning other people's property.
This is a long history. This has been a problem for a long time.
Yeah, and then to the point where she's
And we
like
had- we
where
told- we
she's
told
when you were
her.
gonna
Oh,
divorce
no.
dad, she like took dad out to the lake and like spoiled all your plans and like ruined your plans for
Yes.
nothing just to like
I
just to
told
be
her
involved.
privately, in private, and my mom went behind
And
my
then
back.
just really doing it completely out of pocket, inappropriate, meddling with people's lives, getting rid of people's personal
so
property,
inappropriate.
just stuff like that. So it's and she's very.
She won't talk to me about any of these things she's
Me
done.
and Grandma
I cannot.
have good
She will not
days.
let me talk to her.
Me and
She'll
Grandma
call
have
the
good
police.
days.
I'm going to call the police.
Me and Grandma have good days where we do get along and we have common interests,
I
and,
feel like she
and I
has good
cherish
days,
those
yeah.
days. But more often than not, she is literally bullying
A
me.
ball of nerves. Like,
And it's
just
like
all the time.
She's bullying me or policing me.
Yeah.
And it's so
It's a control.
it's difficult.
I repeat back to her, this is a control issue, not a, whatever she tries to say it is. I'm like, well, don't you think that's just being control? You know, and then she's always like, that's not controlling. I'm constantly reminding her that's you being controlling. This is not necessary. You don't need to know who I'm talking to or where I'm going. Or where, I'm just
Right.
like, you just need to, I'll be polite. So it's me constantly having to remind her that she has issues with boundaries and doesn't respect other people's boundaries.
Yes, I'm constantly asking her to
But it's a
respect
lifetime. If it's a lifetime, then it's
Last
a
time,
condition.
literally just last
It has to be a
week.
condition.
Literally just last week, I asked her to respect my boundary when it
right.
came to my laundry,
Right.
and she laughed in my face and rolled her eyes. And I said, "Grandma, I think that's kind of rude."
Well,
Like,
you
I'm
buy
gonna be-
Vivian
I'm gonna
Westwood
be
and
fully-
things, so you're very careful
well,
with
yes,
your
I
things.
told her that I
Just
buy
come get
clothes
you.
that cost a lot of money sometimes.
Right.
When I do my laundry, I need to do it myself because some of this stuff is precious. Like, it's like vintage and like stuff like that. She goes out of her way, I feel like, almost to disrespect that boundary because, and then she tried lying and saying, well, I thought you were at the pool with Hannah, and it's like, well, no, you sent Hannah in to tell me that you had moved my laundry, so you knew Hannah was home, and then basically, so I don't know, so I just, and this is a
It's
previous,
never being able to
it's a
confront her about
previous,
her behavior.
it's something that we've already
Right.
talked about and
It's an
stuff too.
ongoing issue.
So I just asked her. So well, and then but at the end of the day, I didn't even care about that anymore. What I cared about was the fact that when I brought it up, she laughed at me, rolled her eyes, and was extremely dismissive. And I'm just tired of that. I said, "Grandma, I'm a person, and you don't treat me like a person." Like, that was very rude to me. I'm pretty sure those were my exact
Our
words.
feelings are our
And
feelings
then-
matter. Our feelings are feelings.
And then, of course,
we're
you
allowed
know,
to have
like everything,
feelings.
it turned into like an argument, and then Grandpa got into the room, and then because Grandpa wasn't there, and because she knows that Grandpa wasn't there, and she knows that Grandpa gets stressed out easily, and that he will just kind of listen to her to end the thing or whatever, she lies and she tries saying like all this crazy shit to the point where like she gets her husband so riled, and then I'm done with it, and then she has to continue it to the point where she gets her husband so riled up that he tries to hit me with a metal bat.
I know. And she always says
And
it's
I have
us.
to call
It's
the
like, no, lady,
police and
it's you.
stuff.
It's you.
And then I leave the room and I have to call the police and stuff, and they're still trying to, and then they're gonna, you know, who knows what they told the police. I asked the police, like, what did they say? He said
That's
that
why I
they
want the video footage.
he said that they basically said the same exact story that I told him or whatever, and that he tried to tell them that their reaction was not okay. But then that they argued
Just because
with
your name's
him
on the lease doesn't mean that
that
still
you're
makes you
allowed to hit
abusive.
somebody
That's still
with a metal
illegal,
bat.
sir.
Yeah.
It's still a crime,
They
sir.
tried to argue to the police that because it was their house, they had the right to literally hit
This
me
is what
with
you
a
were
metal bat.
This is what you were hearing on the.
No, this is what the police.
Oh.
He told me this himself.
Okay.
That he told them that that's not an appropriate reaction to whatever, like just a family disagreement, trying to hit someone with a metal bat.
Right.
And then they told him, they argued with. This is what the police told me himself, that they argued with him. So the police told me that they argued with him, and I personally, because they already gave me the same argument, so I know that their argument was, well, it's our house, so we can literally kill him if we want
Right.
to. We
They
can hit him with a
don't.
metal
I don't know if
bat.
they realize they're like not making a very good argument.
And so the police told him that's not an appropriate reaction, and then and then before he left, he just said, you know, if they try doing anything like that again, to just call him, and they'll be down immediately.
Right. Well, that's why you gotta document, get the records. It's kind of the whole process. But I've gotten really used to it.
Not call him, but call them.
Yeah. Well, we documented. Thank you for helping me document. Is there anything else
there's
you'd like
more.
to say?
I don't know. We were
right.
talking
We could
about
do it.
more,
We
but
can only
I
handle so much at a
think we
time.
hit
Yeah.
we've got
We